Hi, this is Fern G. Carr, website www.ferngzcarr.com. Welcome to my Winnipeg Poetry Reading Series, Part 5, Question and Answer Period. I was delighted to be invited to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada to do a reading to celebrate National Poetry Month. Since I'm originally from Winnipeg, I was fortunate to have friends and family in attendance in addition to other audience members, some of whom belong to a poetry appreciation group. I'm pleased to share excerpts from my presentation. It was based on poems from my book, Shards of Crystal, along with a special Winnipeg segment which I included. This final video in my series concludes with an interesting question and answer session. Here is part 5 of my reading. Enjoy! Period can ask me anything except how old are you and how much do you weigh? Any questions? How old are you? How old are you? How old am I? 62.
How much do you weigh?
The weight now. None of your business. Any questions about anything? About publishing? About writing? Anybody? Yeah. Hi.
When you pick a particular topic, you suddenly get the idea. How long does it take you to take that idea and convert it into a poem?
Okay, that's an excellent question. Some of them are quicker than others, and I look at them as almost little gremlins. Some of them just nag me until I just have to write a poem, and there's nothing I can do about it, because until I do it, I'll just be bothered. I used to actually have a notepad next to my bed and write down these ideas in the middle of the night. Now that I'm older, it's like, forget it, I'd just rather sleep. I'll remember in the morning. But and then there are other poems. I have a journal of ideas, and I write them down. And sometimes, the time isn't quite right. I think in order to do real justice to the poem, you have to have the correct mindset, be in the correct, like I say, just have the correct mindset. So it varies, but anytime I write a poem, I would have to do at least a minimum of 7 drafts before I would even consider it remotely close to being finished. And even then, like with these different publications, I'll sometimes look at something and say, I could have done that a little bit differently. So I don't think a poem is ever finished, but to get it to a point of readiness, is quite variable.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions? Uh-oh.
I really enjoy your visual poetry. Do you write your poetry first and then decide the visual to go with it? Or do you have a visual first and then you decide on the poetry?
That's another really good question. I do both. Again, it just depends what I feel like, how something hits me. Sometimes I'll just start writing something. Like today when I was yesterday when I was on the poem, I'm getting tired. When I was on the plane, what I did was I thought of an idea for a poem, and I started writing, and it just popped into my head. Like I thought, okay, I'm going to write one line, starting with Mandarin, finishing in Spanish, and then the next line will start with Spanish, finishing in Mandarin. But the classic one that I did, and this one was really crazy to write, was I wrote a poem in Yiddish and Mandarin. So the Yiddish was written from right to left, but the Mandarin was from left to right. So you try typing that up on your computer. That part was a nightmare. But, so it's just whatever I feel like doing. So it's no rhyme or reason to it. Sheldon, and the word? Yeah?
How do you decide which of your poems that you want to translate into another language, and which language do you enjoy translating the poems into mostly?
Oh, okay. Again, what I do is I try, if I'm going to write a foreign language poem, I actually try to write it first in the foreign language so that it's more natural. It respects the rhythms of the language, the syntax, the structure of the line. So, but if I do translate it, I try to get one that works with the translation. Like sometimes it just sounds clunky and I say, no, I just don't want to go with that. And then, what's the second part of your question you asked?
Which language do you like?
Oh, my favorite. I would have to say, well, because right now I'm kind of getting into Mandarin more. I am trying to do more Mandarin translations, but you know, like the other ones are easier, but I like the challenge. I like it to be difficult, so I would say the Mandarin is sort of the most fun for me now. But it's, like I say, it's the Hansa, like the calligraphy part of it that's challenging because, well, also with Mandarin too, when you're reading the poetry, you have to be very, very careful because what I did was, when I send things out to publishers, you know, I have to give them a little autobiography. So I thought, okay, little Mrs. Smarty Pants here. So I wrote out this autobiography, and I did it in Mandarin. And this is when I was first starting Mandarin. I wanted to say that I'm a former lawyer, and I was about to tell the publisher that I was a serial killer. I mean, you can get yourself into the most trouble with Mandarin, definitely.
Yes, knowing your impressive musical background, have you ever been inspired to write any piece of poetry from any music that you've heard?
Well, actually, this Cool Jazz, we were at, it's shortly after we moved to Kelowna, was the Millennium concert, and we were walking downtown, there was a jazz concert going on, and that was inspirational. And then I've written some poems about my experiences in choir, you know, where there's a renegade soprano section and, you know, what happened to us. So, yeah, there definitely is a link between the two. Thank you. And I think, did you have a
I was
question?
just going to ask you, because you have this gift, did you have to go to classes to study, to put things together, or did it just totally come natural to you?
For, do you mean poetry or?
Poetry, yes.
You know what, it's just something that I don't know why, but it's just something that I do, so I haven't, I mean, I majored in English at university, so I mean, I studied different poets over the years, but I haven't really had any formal training in that.
Were you very young when you started doing this?
I shouldn't even tell you how I started, because it's pretty mean-spirited. I wrote a break-up poem to a boyfriend, because I'm too chicken to tell him in person. And then after that, so, you know, maybe mid-teens, something like that.
So you've been doing it
For a while, yeah. But I didn't start sending things out to publishers until maybe 1998 or so, but I mean, and I am fortunate because I have been published over 700 times, you know.
It's amazing.
And my website, I have fun with my website because I sort of have, you know, to keep it fresh, it's like I sort of play a little game with myself. So I have flags, world flags next to each country that I'm published in. And another game that I play is I want to be published in all 50 states in the United States. So I've been published in 39 of them so far, so I have 11 to go. So I'm going, well, I don't have Wyoming yet, you know, like that kind of thing. And that keeps it fresh.
You're very good. Pleasure to listen.
Thank you so much. It's really nice. I appreciate that.
Acknowledgements. Public domain Kildonan Park Witch's Hut photo, courtesy of Wikimedia Commons. Snowflake's background photo, courtesy of Monica Stavavi on publicdomainpictures.net. Shards of Crystal photo, copyright Fern G. Carr. Thanks very much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like, and please be sure to subscribe. For more poetry, my book Shards of Crystal is available on Amazon. Thanks again, and stay tuned for a new video every Wednesday.